This is Lauren.
This is Trey.
And this
is the Partnership Podcast.
So I have to move my contact around in my mind. Okay, can you clap one more time because this is really going to be the start of the podcast. Welcome back, gentle audience. We're going to talk about fucking. Do you know we've said this word many times? Although, hey, have any long-timers really noticed how Trey has cleaned up his verbiage? It's really impressive. I have noticed that I curse more than you do.
Long-timers? What does that mean?
Listen.
Welcome back, long-timers. She's going. Okay.
Long-time audience members. Haven't you noticed how Trey doesn't curse as much? Well, today, we're going to be talking about...
I'm cleaning it up, like...
Is it because you're working with more children, or was it because of the podcast and you heard yourself say the F word so many times that you were like, goodness gracious?
I've got a pretty big vocabulary, and I don't always have to go for bits, so...
You used to, yeah. We
This
should ask
isn't
the
a
baby
comedy.
this. I want to ask the baby this because you used to curse a ton.
This isn't a comedy podcast.
No, it's not. This is a serious podcast.
All right, let's get back to this one. What are we talking about, babe?
We're talking about fucking.
Great.
Because we have both recently read/listened to this book called Intimacy and Desire
Awesome.
by David Schnarch. Some of my clients are reading/listening to it, and we were cackling that the book is narrated, the audio book is narrated by a person with a female-bodied voice, it sounds like. And so every time they mention the author, my client immediately thinks that this person is a woman who wrote this book. And so then when I kept mentioning David Schnarch in sessions, my client was like, that's right. It's written by a guy. I just keep thinking it was written by a female. Anyway, it's just funny. Okay, so David, at the end of the book, has spent this entire book talking about the 4 points of balance, has spent the entire book talking about reflective sense of self, developing a strong sense of self, how that truly, truly helps us maintain intimacy and desire in long-term partnership.
Pretty much like standard, good knowledge, high quality knowledge, basic relationship book. And then...
all of a sudden, the last eighth of the book is about fucking. And this guy says the word fuck and fucking so many times based upon, get this, a conversation he has with another therapist over lunch, like a couple months before the therapist dies. One of his dearest longtime friends and colleagues, and he knows that Schnarch's area is sex therapy and that he works in the relational space. I mean, it's like having a conversation with me, so it's not weird that they were having this conversation. But he says to David over lunch, are you going to talk about fuck? No, he says, do you still fuck? David goes, huh? And he goes, you know what I mean. Just fuck. And he goes, I don't anymore. I can't anymore. And I miss it. I miss just being present with another person. Just, in essence, in our language, being in the take quadrant. Being in that position where you're chasing your pleasure without over concern for the other.
Take is you're doing the thing. It's for you within boundaries of the giver.
And
it's the healthy version of taking.
Is in allowing the yes, you may, right? Yes, with limits. Yes, devour me. Yes, use me for your pleasure. Yes, want me, desire me, take from me.
Taking is at the top of the pyramid where that's the want, desire, the things you want the most, the very tip. And it's all...
or more than the tip.
It's all about you. That's what taking is. And once you can find taking within limits, within the giver's limits, it opens a whole new realm of pleasure. Because, I'm asking for what I want. I'm not trying to get it in some roundabout way. And it's okay. It not only is it okay, it's fucking celebrated. That's what taking is.
Now,
It's an edgy word,
yeah,
but you take time for yourself. You take your turn in line.
take a bath.
You take your time. Oh, did I already fucking say that? Anyway, so it's a good thing.
Such a good thing. So I just was tickled when we got to this section because this is something we talk about a lot as it comes to Dr. Betty Martin and Wheel of Consent.
DBM.
And your permission that you have given me within this relationship to chase my pleasure. We have talked a lot on this podcast about the act of penetrative intercourse and thrusting being a beautiful example of taking because you are doing the action and it is for your pleasure. My body, hopefully, is in allowing. And yet we don't have this language. And I would say one of the number one questions I get at my Soho House gigs, and I would be curious if you agree because you've been at lots of them, is why is it so much easier to have great sex when it's casual?
Let's focus on that. Why is it so, not even great sex, why is it so much easier to fuck
Right.
when it's casual or when it's new
Well-
than it is, I don't know, we're 7 years into a relationship.
We're long timers.
Yeah, well put. We're long timers. And okay, so why is it easier to fuck? The answer is pretty simple to me. Because it's new. It's new, it's fresh, it's exciting. You're still learning about a body. There's still all this lusty, there's still the honeymoon period, all of this.
I'm going to say sure, and then I'm going to say not according to Schnarch.
What does Schnarch have to say about it?
Schnarch would have to say that when we're in an early stage of a relationship, or it's just a casual sex partner, even better, okay? We are self-defined.
Say more.
So when we are in a relationship for a longer and longer amount of time, we tend to care deeply for this other person.
Unfortunately, yes.
Unfortunately, I am highly invested in Trey's well-being. Okay.
She's my Bitcoin.
I am. Even this morning, we were texting with dear friend Kay, and she's got me on some supplement, and it gave me a headache. And she goes, "Oh no, I'm afraid Trey's going to be mad at me," which she only meant because there is not a human on this earth who is more invested in my thriving than a certain Trey. It is hard to fuck, to take, to devour for our pleasure, to be what Esther Perel would say, selfish, when we care so much for the other.
And if you don't like selfish, self-focused.
Yes. When it's a casual sex partner and we don't know what they got to do for work the next day, we don't know.
We don't really care either.
Yes, we don't know when.
It's not in our domain.
We don't know if they've eaten recently. We don't know how much sleep they're getting at night.
Check in on them. Get them a snack. If we're going to pump, go ahead. I apologize.
My point being, their gastrointestinal tract is not our worry. The last time they had a physical is not our worry. What they're doing to support their health with supplements is not our worry. Their exercise habits, not our worry. Their ego, not our worry. It is not our job. So guess what we get to be? More concerned with ourselves, which allows us to be more self-defined, which allows us to think of self more, to be more present with self, and to show up in a sexual encounter ready to fuck, ready to be there in the moment chasing pleasure and then leave. Schnarch says the hardest person to fuck is your spouse. You were like, I disagree, but I think that's because Trey and I do all of this.
Give me an
work.
opportunity. Give me one opportunity. Give me 3.5 minutes to show you how much I disagree.
Okay. Let's go back to the post-panic attack. You were all in your head of, why would she want me?
Correct.
What's going on here?
Yeah.
She just offered me all of this support and care and love and nurturance, and I could do nothing on this train. Yeah. It was hard for you in that moment. Might have been brief and passing, and you got to assure yourself, grand. We also read countless books on self-definition and watching and making sure that we don't have a reflected sense of self. We do work in this area, my love. We're not the average person. So back to why I think it's easier to fuck recreationally is, yes, for everything that you said. There is newness, there's lust, there is that direction towards the other, right? We are overcoming the obstacle, which is just this discovery.
Schnarch says, long-term relationship, 7-year marriage, you and me, we're the hardest people. We have the hardest time to fuck each other. Mm-hmm. Okay. We've kind of established why. Mm-hmm. Is that correct? Mm-hmm. Now, is it important to do so? And then if it's a priority, how do we do so?
Yes, it's a priority to do so. Because pleasure is our birthright and pleasure is good for us. And being individuated inside of a relational container is so important. Do I need to break that down? You gave me the confusing face.
No. Okay. You're doing great. Pardon.
For a long-term partnership to not just survive, but to thrive, it is necessary that we go through a stage of individuation, of differentiation from other. We've come out of this smooshy, symbiosis, lusty, limerent stage. We've gone into a practicing stage, which is, whoop, I'm going to go tiptoe out here, and then whoop, come back to Trey. Healthy partnerships go through this stage that Trey and I is, which is...
Practicing stage? Tiptoe out of here and come back to Trey? What does that mean?
I love this stage. So there is a stage after the smushy, limerence, lusty stage, which is this practicing stage, which I call the toddler stage of I do it myself, right? I'm going to put my buckles on or I'm going to put my shoes on. But then at the end of the night, we still just want to be with mommy and daddy. Okay. So we went through this stage when you moved back to California. And then we were like, no. So couples do this where it's almost like we go put our toe in the water and come back, toe in the water and come back. It's about 3-4 years in. It happens. It really does. And then we get to a stage like what you and I are in, which is we've really started to develop our own identity inside of the partnership. And yet then there's something like the wing clipping moment. There is something like, some people end up in my office where they're like, it's not like it used to be. This isn't the person I married.
Oh, we ended up in our therapist's office.
We did.
After that. So
healthy.
All of these stages.
Healthy.
Now that we're here, I'm going to
loop us back to what you asked me. It's necessary to continue to individuate so that we can reapproach. This is where I'm going, okay? And how we reapproach is by becoming more self-defined, being okay with who we are, and then almost, shake my hand, re-meeting each other, okay? And we can do that through developing our 4 points of balance because it's not our partner's job. There's a lot of caretaking in the early stages of relationship because we want to. It's like swishy, it's lovely. But we really start to understand, wait, my job to have a solid, flexible self. My job to have a calm mind and a calm heart. My job to respond from a place of groundedness. My job to tolerate for the purpose of growth. Meaningful endurance, right? Okay, this is great. So now we get to dip our toes back in the water of meeting each other, and we can do that sexually. I would recommend the 3-minute game, right? This is where all our modalities collide, which is so fun, right? So through 3-minute game, we could practice each of those 4 things by requesting touch from another and requesting to touch another. And what the 3-minute game does, which I feel like we've talked about ad nauseum, but maybe you're here for the first time today because you liked our topic, fucking, okay? What the 3-minute game is doing is allowing us, to create the limits, allowing us to practice respecting a boundary, allowing us to ask for exactly what we want.
And allowing us to chase our pleasure selfishly. Or self-focused.
Within a time-bound frame.
Yeah.
Within the other person's bodily limits. And it could be something as little as, can I have your hand? We do this all the time. As little as, may I bounce my fingers on your knuckles? Do, 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 do. I am taking for my joy.
And then the other side, the will you touch my index finger with yours?
Yes, I will.
Okay, so the 3-minute game is also the may I will you game. It's the same game. And then making a request. You make a request. And when you make a request within this language structure, you are requesting a treat. You are requesting a want and desire and nothing else. And then that's your first priority, is you put your desires forward. That's priority number 1. And then priority number 1A is you respect the limits of the giver. May I will you.
What I think is so beautiful about the 3-minute game too is it celebrates the desire of our partner without obligating ourselves to do a damn thing. So ask for touch your pointer finger with my pointer finger again. Can you ask for that again?
Will you touch my index finger with your index finger?
It's good to want. It's really good to want. I don't feel like touching your index finger. I would be happy to just hold your finger. That feels like something I can give. How does that sound to you? Would that work for you?
It's not really what I want. May I request an entirely different thing?
Yes, please go for it.
May I touch your vulva with my index finger?
And this would be all for your pleasure?
Yes.
I would just be in allowing?
Yes.
Not on camera. But yes, you may.
Great. What time limit? Oh, excuse me. May I do that for 1 minute? And this would be from me. The gift is from me. So I'm not concerned about your pleasure.
Right.
I'm not concerned about getting the stroke right. I'm not concerned about helping you achieve an orgasm. This is entirely for me.
Great question. So long as the pressure is a medium pressure, not hard, not soft, because too soft is going to be almost tickly, too hard is going to be confusing for my unaroused body, and not a minute, but 45 seconds.
Perfect. And can I check in 10 seconds into it as far as a pressure check?
Yeah, of course. And may I request a pause if something feels uncomfortable?
Of course. And I'll do the same thing. And then we'll set the timer and then we go.
Sounds
and then
good.
Since I am receiving this gift, because I made the request for a gift or a treat, I say thank you. She says you're welcome. And then we play again. That's the May I Will You game. So you're saying the May I Will You game is one of the main entrances into fucking in long-term partnership.
Yeah. Now, if one has not done a lot of work in long-term partnership to define oneself, if one is doing a lot of caretaking or being taken care of, we got some precepts, my friends. I think the reason I've loved this book so much is that is what so many of my clients and I are needing to do in order to improve the sex. I love the fact that 7/8 of this book on intimacy and desire are not about fucking.
Oh, dude, if you go down this fucking rabbit hole, guys, if you're listening, guys, it's me. If you go down this fucking rabbit hole, do you know how much of this information is about like childhood trauma and like where you go to as far as isolation and fusion? It's all unsexy. It's the unsexy stuff, so there's room for the sexy stuff.
Amen.
There's all of the work, damn near all of it. It is not about the sexy stuff. But what you could do is you can endow it of this is very important work, which will lead me to the sexy stuff. And this will lead me to the sex that I've always dreamed of. If I choose to, if I'm willing to do this work. And then the secret sauce is you spread on some I want, or you get excited about doing the unsexy work. If you make the unsexy sexy, if you make the hard work joyous, and then you get after it with an enthusiastic attitude, you will be rewarded. You got to do a lot of listening. You got to do a lot of like self-reflecting, and then you have to do a lot of ownership.
I was just thinking about the amount of people I get to work with. What a joy. And how often I do see within a heterodynamic caretaking from the person in a female body and this burden to provide in a person with a male body. And so often the narrative I see is I provide, you take care, and then we have sex. That's what should happen. And what is so interesting is that the person in the caretaking role so easily starts to feel like the mother role for this person. And that's just not sexy. We are biologically programmed not to be attracted to the person we are caring for so that we don't have sex with our own kids. It is good. It is really good. So again, I know it feels like, to need to go and uproot these old societal scripts that we've all been given. But please remember that if you're going to fall into a traditional role, right? Like, I'm a man and I'm a woman and we provide.
Dude, adapting is how we've gotten this fucking far.
Thank you. Because if you want to go back in time, right, women were giving sex, and the reason they were giving sex is they had no other rights.
I think, yeah, they could be killed under law.
Okay,
shit like
so
that.
do you really want to go back there? I don't think we want to go back there because I think that especially the beautiful men I work with desire to be chosen by their wives. They want to be seen and pursued and all of this stuff. And so I'm like, okay, then. We gotta let go of some of these other societal
I want to earn
scripts.
all that. I don't want to feel entitled to it.
Yes. And I don't want like desperation in my partners, right? But I'm like,
that's something different.
Again, this is why these developmental stages of partnership are just so cool for us to consider, because when we have individuated enough, then we have created what is this really sexy thing, which is called observational distance, where it's like, hey, I see you, right? Not only do we share the financial burden here in this house, not only do we communicate really well, now we have created observational distance between us. You're standing on your own 2 feet, on your own pillars of balance, and I'm standing over here on mine. And I want.
And then other magical things happen where when Lauren got me to safety in my panic attack, she was my hero for that day. She was my hero.
This speaks directly to y'all. Monogamy is a construct. Okay, marriage is a construct. And yet, we survive better in pairs.
Oh, there's so much privilege in like pairing.
Pair bonding is cool. It's really cool.
There's so much privilege in it. There's financial, there's legal, there's quality of life. There's so much that I didn't know. Yeah, I figured this out 5 years ago. We've been together for 7. Probably 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I figured it out.
I never want to be misinterpreted or want this audience to believe that I don't think that it is not the greatest privilege on earth to care for your partner, to provide support for your partner. It is an honor. And there are certain times in partnership where somebody gets sick, where someone needs extra support. Those are beautiful.
Yeah.
Those are sacred, and oh my God, what a joy. And we were talking about fucking today and why it is difficult. And it can be difficult when we are lost in one another. When we need the other to reflect to us our sense of self, when we are so consumed with caretaking and providing for the other that we have lost our own understanding of ourselves. And it is a beautiful and worthy goal to seek to get planted back on our own sense of self so that we can return to fucking. because it is good for us. And newsflash, if you haven't been here for a long time, women are less monogamous than men. Women crave adventure and risk. Women often are labeled as the ones with a lower libido, when in fact it has nothing to do with that. It has so much to do with the fact that they don't want that sex. They want a more nuanced, risky, juicy, titillating sex that takes a well-defined man. Not a man who's pussy bratting. Not a man who's like, oh, I did this for you, so you should give me sex. They're bored out of their minds. And yet, when I had somebody write in, because I went off on this just 2 days ago on Instagram. I made a reel out of it because it was in my stories. And I was saying that I was answering a question that somebody wrote in while we were training back after the panic attack about attraction. And that she was raised in a purity culture world where attraction was just downplayed deeply. You weren't allowed to pursue that, which is so heartbreaking. And this questioner was saying, is it too late? Now I've deconstructed. Now I'm with this partner. Is attraction something that can be nurtured, or do I need to get divorced, basically? So I was talking about all the different ways and things. And one of the things I was mentioning is that there's no caretaking in desire. And so one of the ways we could see would be to help your husband understand the importance of him taking care of himself. And I was sharing that many of my clients come in and talk about if their husband would just go to the gym. And I ask them, is it his body you want to change? Or is it that a man who goes to the gym takes care of himself? A man who goes to the gym also drinks more water, eats more protein, gets up at a certain time, goes to bed at a certain time, drinks less alcohol. And they will look me dead in the eyes and go, the latter. I don't care about his body at all.
Mission.
And they will it's like a light bulb goes off. So I had somebody write in on Instagram and go, oh my God, you just described my life last year. And she said, I had no idea what was going on, but I told my husband he had health stuff, and she had just naturally fallen into the one who was scheduling the appointments and scheduling and asking him, did you follow up with that doctor? All of these types of things. And she, of her own accord, shout out, goes, I can't do this anymore. I need you to do this. I do not want to be your mother. And she stopped. He started doing it, and she was like, I didn't realize it then, but my attraction for him went up immediately. So, fucking. It is important, so important. And you know what? Next, do we have time to do one more podcast?
Let's circle back on, how to initiate fucking in a long-term partnership.
He talks a lot about oral sex.
Good.
Get Intimacy and Desire by David Schnarch, read by a woman on Audible. It's fantastic. It really is. Thanks for coming to this episode of the Partnership Podcast with Lauren and Trey. Take what you like, leave the rest. Fucking is important, but that's just my opinion. You have a right to self-determination and informed decision-making. If you want to learn more about fucking and David Schnarch and 4 points of balance and all that stuff, go to sexedforyou.com/free consult. I would love to chat with you more on this. Have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.